Okay, well, let's start with Victor Fraga is a journalist. He actually has a very nice website, DMovie, where talks about cinema in general, and actually it's called DMovie, but it means dirty movies, right, Victor?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, if you want to talk a bit about maybe the director itself, if you want to present a bit more what is done in the past and how different this film is with his past filmography.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to see you again, Paola. We've been with you in the past. We showcased a film with you in the past at Cambridge Hotel several years ago, as you might remember. So I'm thrilled that you take Latin American cinema so seriously.
Yeah.
I'm Brazilian born. I've been in the UK for more than 20 years, and yes, I do run a company called DMovies, or Dirty Movies, if you like, which is about subversive, innovative, thought-provoking cinema. And I think this is a very thought-provoking movie. It's very different from Pablo Larraín's previous films. He's one of these directors who makes every film is entirely different. He does not have one specific style. You've got Jackie, which is all American. You've got No, which is political, about the referendum which decided the fate of Chile. Then you've got Neruda, which is a highly political film with a lot of symbolic elements. It's a biopic of Neruda, but it's not a biopic of Neruda because one of the main characters did not exist at all, which was played by Gael. So it's not the first time he's working with Gael. And you've got The Club, which is about abuse in the Catholic Church, which is a very hardcore film. He describes the sexual abuse to which the young people were subjected in the hands of priests in graphic detail. And then you've got Emma, which I would describe as a delirious musical. It's a film with very little. Well, there's a plot, but the plot is completely fantastic. There's very little narrative driving that plot in itself. So the story is secondary, I would argue. And I think it's really, in a way, I think it's a delirious musical. It's also the women's film. Although you may think it's a positive or a negative portrayal, I don't think it's entirely negative. I do think she's empowered. She's an anti-mother. She's not the role model, the role model of motherhood. But then why should women? And obviously I'm biased because I'm not a woman. But I think why should a woman be a role model for motherhood? So I think she breaks the molds in every way. And obviously there's that fantastic light in the film. It's and the choreography. So I would argue the film is constructed around the dance, the music, the light. The film is hypnotic to watch. It's incredibly beautiful to watch, and the storyline is in a way the plot is in a way secondary, and ultimately it's a film about a woman who refuses who breaks the concepts of femininity, and that's and obviously coming from a Latin country, the old-fashioned. She challenges the old established orthodoxy, and she's basically saying that a woman does not have to be a good mother. The woman does not have to sexually conform. So she's promiscuous. She's a bad mother, but then she tries to salvage a concept of motherhood in the end. I think it's delightful to watch. I absolutely love it. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know what the women think about it.
Well, I have to say that I just tell you something, because I don't completely agree with what you said, but this is good, because that's why we're having this debate. I feel that this movie, actually, since I saw it a second time, and I know, and I've got Ricardo here, that we watched it together separately, but anyway, we watched it last year at London Film Festival. I think this is a film about manipulation more than anything else, because she's been manipulating everybody, every single person she gets into in this film, she meets or she talks, or except she's manipulating, you know. She meets the lawyer and she manipulates lawyer. She meets the poor fireman and she manipulates him. Even the poor child, you know, she basically, from what you see in the film, she manipulates the child. It becomes a pyromaniac.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all about manipulation more than women empowerment for me. But this is a good start, you know, to just throw this. So let's hear a bit, Ricardo.
One very quick thing before you head over to someone else. I absolutely agree. I love the word you use, manipulation. I think that you're precisely right. But the point is, we're used to seeing women as objects. In this film, we see the woman as the subject. She's the subject. She's the one who manipulates, whether we like it or not. The woman is no longer the object. She is the subject. She is in power. So sorry, that's all I wanted to say. So I think we're
no, you're right. That's another good starting point. So anybody wants to join in on this one, Ricardo? Have you got any?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it for the second time. That's interesting, because we kind of disagree. I quite liked it. To be honest, I even enjoyed it even more the second time that I watched it. I mean, it's just, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece, but it's really nice. I mean, it's beautifully shot, great photography, great acting, great direction. And I must say, you know, I haven't seen the other films of the same director, but I'm definitely very interested in the one. Is at the club, the one about the sexual abuse in the church. But I'm really interested in that. I think I'm gonna watch that.
That's his best film.
Okay, but actually, no. Going back to what you were saying, Paula, you know, I think to me it's a film about connection. It's a film about lack of connection. I mean, so she's a negative character in a way, but you know, I can see the tragedy of this person who, and I think that perhaps the only very human scenes, or the one where I can really see her, the more vulnerable person that she is when she's with her mum, which I think is that she's probably the only person that she doesn't manipulate. So going back to what Paolo was saying, you know, so I think, yes, it is a film about freedom. It's a film about sexual liberation, etc., etc., and it's a film about a character who is manipulative, you know. But you know, there is still some humanity in her, you know, and I think that beautiful scene of her where you see her hugging, kind of almost kissing with her mom, you know, I thought that was really a beautiful scene, you know, just really strange also, because I mean, again, you know, at some point in the film also she does say, you know, yeah, and I sleep with my mom, you know, with the fireman, which is, I mean, what do you mean, you know? But I don't know. I mean, I thought that scene was quite strong, you know. I mean, in a very strong film, because of course it's a very, you know, so
absolutely. Yeah.
I think she challenges every stereotype of what we expect a woman to be, and especially in I think it would have been even more shocking for some Latin Americans to watch that film, much more so than perhaps Europeans, because she challenges every stereotype of what you know, a good woman is supposed to be. And I like it because of that, because she does not conform to anything. She's not a good wife, she's not a good mother, she's not a good friend, if you think about it, because she manages to rally around a group of other young women to do stuff that nobody else is doing. So I think it's not so much about manipulation, more about power. She's using the power that she does have in a way that is unexpected.
Yeah, but the other thing that I noticed, for example, in his films, and probably Victor, can tell me if I'm wrong. He uses, in this film especially, and others too, I've seen Neruda. He uses this green hues. I don't know if you've noticed that all through the film, beside when she's using blowtorch, that there's not green, but mainly with the scenes with just a few people when she's in a couple with her husband, etc. There's like a very green kind of hue all over the film, which makes it a bit kind of depressing. and all through this film, I have to say, even the most exciting moment that you could think of, like the orgy or other thing, it's not a happy film. The only time it's slightly cheerful, it's when they're dancing. Slightly cheerful, but the whole film, it's to me it just sounds like not I'm very unhappy because of what they're going through, because of the story, because of how they behave, and also they always whisper. I don't know if you noticed that too. All through the film, they're always whispering. There's only one scene in which Gael Garcia Bernal raises his voice a bit, and for the rest, it's almost very difficult to understand what they're saying. Because it's very low key, low tone. So I don't know if this is something that you notice or you pay attention, or it's important to the story. Anybody else? Jay, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. It was cinematography, the shooting, it was all really good, really nice on the eyes. I suppose, yeah, the themes I got, probably similar to you, Paula. I thought I was left a bit, at the end, I thought, I suppose in, society here, would you think that was a bit disturbing, what she did? To sort of the husband and the wife and the child there. And I suppose the wife's reaction, I thought, would she have reacted like that? I don't know. Because it's sort of, to me, it felt like she was sort of, her emotions were played with for a certain reason, like manipulation, like you said. But yeah, apart from that, I thought it was a fantastic movie, and I really liked how she expressed a lot, but through dance and action. But her face was quite expressionless throughout the whole movie, and it was quite hard to understand what she was actually feeling, scene by scene, I thought. But then with the actions, you could probably see what she was feeling.
Yeah. Well, the blowtorch is definitely a very phallic symbol, right? So she's definitely behaving like a man, with the blowtorch, and just killing everything and blowing everything, etc. So that's a very good symbol to show for that. Definitely.
But it does make me wonder that if instead of a woman, had it been a man doing all of those things, would we all be agreeing with in the same way? I think it's precisely that that this film is telling the world that whether it is a younger generation or whatever it is, but there are many women in the world who do not agree with all the stereotypes placed upon us as women. And if it had been a man instead, blowtorching things or sleeping around with everybody and doing exactly what she did, we'd all be thinking about it in a completely different way. And I don't think it's a sad film. I think it's a film that celebrates the strength of women in many ways.
Okay, well, yeah, of course that's a good opinion. The other thing is that I don't know. I felt that because of the music it's fantastic, but it's very pervasive. So it's like everywhere all the time, and it creates lots of tension. So I feel that every scene, every sequence in this movie has no release whatsoever, ever. So it's like really, you see a scene, beside the reggaeton scene in which there's actually a release, people, they look happy, they were dancing, etc. But all the other scenes, there's like this growing tension. and there's never a release. If you look back, because I've seen it a second time, so I could notice that. Did you feel the same? Do you feel it's a bit claustrophobic? It's like, it's like, what's going to happen? It's like it's a thriller, but then it's not a thriller. So what do you think of it? Anybody?
Yes, I agree. I think it is quite tense all the time. I definitely don't see it as a happy film. I think like the last scene where in theory everything is all right with like the families, kind of like a big family. It's that silence and that's like the way they look at each other. It's like everything but happy. I think it is like super heavy. And yeah, I think the dance scenes is where there are some kind of lightness. But even then, I think the kind of I think the kind of music and the kind of dance maybe it's just because it's not so traditional. So maybe I don't understand that kind of dance so much. But even then, it's not exactly light. I think in comparing to the rest of the film, the vibe in the dancing scenes are much lighter, but it's still quite a hard dance. It's kind of like hard movements and the beats, and it's all, I think it's just all very tense all the time.
But the other thing is that I really don't feel very much for the main character, for Mariana Di Girolamo, the actress, because you can't really identify with her because she's so all over the place. She, exactly. You don't know her aim. You don't know what she really wants to do. Yes, she wants to change society. She wants to, be an anarchist or whatever. But you can't really identify. So basically, you don't like her. Even if, maybe you feel that she's powerful, but she's, acting and manipulating.
Well, Paula, I think that's exactly the point, because I think I don't think we all agree with that, as as we don't all agree with Marvelous as well, because I think it's a kind of film that it really split the audience, I mean, I really like it, but I think it really challenges your perception about all the things that we discussed, so you might see that in the film, I see it as a slightly different thing, because of my cultural background, because of my history and everything, So it's very interesting, because it's yes, it is a film about freedom, but I don't think actually, as Victor was saying before, that there's a catharsis in the film, because I kind of agree, perhaps a bit more with Paula. There's this kind of relentless
tension.
You're kind of enveloped in this film, and it feels quite claustrophobic, but it doesn't really it's difficult to really empathize with the characters, because they're all in a way losers, and win. Well, I mean, the only winner perhaps is Emma, but even her, she's a bit of a anti-hero, so but then of course, you might see some positivity in her character, because it's about freedom, all the things that Victor and Marvelous said before, which I really agree as well, but it's really challenging you in many, many different ways. And I think that's why it's a very interesting film. It's got a lot of layers.
I think if, depending on your cultural background, you may or may not identify with some of those characters. And again, for me, not that I identify with Emma, the character itself, but with some of the struggles that she felt she was having to resolve. For example, the dealing with social services, and the fact that she had to pay somebody in social services to be able to even adopt in the first place, and that's a very common thing that would have happened where I come from. So that I felt very strongly that was a kind of injustice that she was trying to put right. And similarly, when they're talking about people who come from different social backgrounds, when he talks about the type of music that they're dancing to, he's not only referring to age difference, he's actually referring to social backgrounds.
Yeah.
And that is a very strong theme too. And again, I think somehow if you don't have those cultural references, that probably you cannot identify them as well. But
where are you from, Mabel?
I'm from Venezuela.
And now be always good cinema goers, continue to support, you know, small independent festival like us, because we really need you. Okay. Well, thank you very much to everybody. Have a good evening now and a good weekend.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next week.
Thanks very much, Paula.
Okay, thank you.
Paula.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Paula.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.